So I'm here today with the brand new Mazda MX 30. Now it's a funky little car from Mazda, and yeah, I just was interested in seeing how that actually would work, because Mazda is taking a whole different approach to the EV sector than most cars do. So first of all, the power is reduced to an acceleration of 9.7 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. Now that is slow by EV terms, but that is somewhat standard by regular ICE car terms or combustion engine terms. Now the car also has a few funky features, like the doors, for example. So let me show you. So when you open this door, right, all is normal, but for the back door you don't see a handle anywhere. The back door opens like this, and that gives you some room to get in the car and out of the car. I don't think it's that practical, because if you have to get out of the back seat, then of course the front door has to be open as well. So a quick pop in and out, it's not going to happen with this car. Now from a practical point of view, the car has a 35.5 kilowatt hour battery. Now that should theoretically get it to about 200 kilometers of range. But that's WLTP, so we all know that those numbers are a little bit high, and we actually are going to see how far I'm able to get with this car in a single charge. Now as for trunk space, let's see how big the trunk actually is. As you can see, you can fit some nice things here, but the floor is rather high. Underneath here you've got the tow hook and a tire repair kit, but right now I've got some stuff in there and it's already pretty filled. I think you can get like 2 smaller suitcases or 1 big one, and then maybe a couple of moldable bags in the back. But for a car this size, it's not too bad, but it's not a big boot either. Now looking at the front of the car, I was expecting a frunk, but actually there is a whole lot of nothing there, and I think that is a missed opportunity for Mazda to actually create some additional frunk space. Now why would Mazda actually waste that space? Well, the reason behind it is that next year they will bring out a version with a range extender that will actually make it a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. That should make sure that even though it has a short range on EV mode, you can still do your commute on EV mode, but you can also take the car on a holiday with you to do some road trips, and then you can drive on the range extender. So interesting perspective. I still would have liked the difference with the pure EV of having a frunk space in the front. Now if you look at the interior of the vehicle, there are a few things that are quite noteworthy. First of all is that you have cork here in the center console, and also a little bit on the handles for the door. That is a reference to Mazda starting out as a cork factory, and because of their 100-year existence they are using it in this car also. Now in this car this is just fake leather, but you also have the option in a darker tint to have the vegan leather. So you have a full vegan leather with cloth on the inside. This cloth is actually made from recycled PET bottles. So the plastic bottles are being recycled into car seat covers. Cork is also environment friendly, so yeah, they're doing a really great job of keeping up the green image there. Now another noteworthy thing is this center console. It is a little bit floating, and underneath you have some additional storage space, of course, but it also has a 220 volt outlet, which I'm currently using to power up my cameras. But that is something that I'm missing in a lot of cars, is a 220 volt outlet. You do have a couple of USB ports, but for equipment like cameras, and if you want to have more like a smartphone where you're watching at the same time, most of the time the USB ports aren't powerful enough to power up the device and still use it at the same time. But that's just a use case for me specifically. Your mileage may vary, of course. Now you still have that shifter in the middle, a touchscreen. Well, it's a semi-touchscreen. You still have the buttons here. You can use it as a touchscreen over here, so that's not a problem. The navigation is over there, and I have a analog semi-digital display behind the steering wheel with some digital information, but also with some analog gauges that are there, which is kind of an odd combination. Now I'm not going to cover all the little details and all the little quirks of this car. There are other channels that are doing that way better than I do. But what I'm mostly interested in is how does this car actually drive and how do the safety functions actually work. So let's hit the road. So now we are finally driving the car, and the battery level at the moment is 98%, and the car says I can do 186 kilometers with it. Now the people from Mazda, they tell me that it should do 200 kilometers actually, and yeah, this is a test car. Some people drive it hard, and of course that influences the estimated range, of course. Yeah, let's see how the car drives and how fun this little car actually is. Now what the car also has is an engine noise, a fake engine noise. So let me try to let you guys hear that. Now I've only driven a manual car, not a fully automatic car. So I went straight from manual shifting to fully electric. And now during the short period that I've been driving this car, each and every time when I hear that engine revving, that fake engine revving, I go for the shifter, trying to shift into the next gear. So that's kind of funny experience for me. But yeah, I mean, they are doing this to accommodate people, to make the move into electric as smooth as possible and as easy as possible. So yeah, people coming from gasoline cars, they are used to an engine noise, so they make this fake engine noise to accommodate them. Now here we have an on-ramp. Let's see how quick the car does a 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. And that's 100. So it is rather slow in terms of what we are used to with other electric cars. However, the car is specifically made to resemble a normal gasoline car, so that when people that are buying this car are not utterly shocked by the acceleration of electric motors, but they rather have a similar experience than what they are used to, hopefully making the step into electric driving a little bit easier for them. Now we are here on very narrow roads, a little bit windy as well, so let's see how nimble the car actually is and how well it drives. So we got a few corners coming up, and you feel like, yeah, the steering is really direct. It's really nice to see. Of course, there's oncoming traffic here. Yeah, and on these roads it picks up speed as it should. It's not too heavy. As I mentioned, it's deliberate that it's not the full electric experience of high torque and many horsepowers, but it's more like a normal car. And yeah, it's interesting to see. Up ahead we have a stop sign. Let's see if the car actually recognizes any of those. Yeah, it does show a stop sign as well on the display as on the HUD here, but it disappeared again. Well, now it's back. So it seems to be not that consistent, or maybe it was because I was holding the brake that the stop sign was already saying, okay, you have applied it. Now the sound levels of the car on these roads, it's actually rather quiet, but you do get that fake engine noise, which I don't like, but that's a matter of taste, of course. But anyways, it's really quiet, not a lot of wind noise, not too much road noise. I think this car is better insulated than my Tesla. Now I do have to say that the adaptive cruise control is working really well, but also here the car is already in the side street before it starts accelerating again. I hear so many people complaining about the Tesla system that it is too slow when a car in front of you turns away before it continues. Well, it's the same with other systems because they are reactive, of course, and they need to see that the car is completely out of the way before they continue. But the way it slowed down, it was not aggressive, it was not abrupt, it was really slowing down the way I would do it. So I think the adaptive cruise control on this car is really good. Now in terms of reading the speed limit signs, right now in Belgium, in Flanders, where I'm driving, there is a default speed limit, and when the default applies, then no speed limit signs are actually put up. So that means that the car currently thinks that I can only do 50 kilometers an hour because that was the last speed limit sign that it actually saw, and that is incorrect at this point. Up until now, I've been mostly driving in city streets, rural areas, only just a tiny bit of highway at the beginning. But let's see what happens if we add some highway driving, how efficient the car is becoming then. Now flooring it all the way right now, and it's not as quick as you would expect, but it is very smooth. So it's, as I mentioned before, it feels effortlessly, and I think that's a good thing. It's not overpowered, but it's also definitely not underpowered, and it reacts fluently, but more like a regular gasoline car. Now currently I have the auto lane keep system activated, and it doesn't really do the auto lane keeping all by itself. You still have to steer by yourself, because if you don't, then it will actually go to the side like here and then apply the corrective steering to keep you in the lane, but it's not intended to keep you in the center of the lane. So it is also pointless to put this car on my test route, because it will definitely not be able to do all those test points. So this system is more like an active safety system, where it keeps you within the lane. It brakes, there's emergency braking for city driving, of course, also, and they're all driver assistant functionalities, and they're definitely not level 2 functionalities. So if you buy this car, don't expect it to do that. Now as soon as you start adding some highway driving in the mix, then the average consumption goes up quite a bit. Right now, for this particular trip, I'm at 187 watt hours per kilometer. So that's quite a bit more than what the constant for the WLTP is saying. So right now I'm looking at about 165 to 170 kilometers of range with a mixed drive for local roads and highways, which is kind of what most commutes are in my case. And that would be one way, and each and every day I would have to charge up the battery fully to get that commute and that certainty that you can take some deviations if necessary because of traffic jams and so on. So right now I have just gotten a message at 25 kilometers range left that I need to charge the car, which is exactly what I'm going to do, but I want to see how far you could actually go on a single charge. So I'm on my way home, where I will first check how well it charges or how fast it charges on my wall charger, and then we'll do that for a little bit, and then I'll also check the fast charger to see how quickly that goes. So right now I plugged it in at my house, and that is capable of giving 22 kilowatts of charge rate. I don't see exact how much kilowatts the car is pulling right away, but it says it needs 4 hours and 50 minutes to charge up from about 10% to the full capacity. So that is quite some time. I think we're about 11 kilowatts, something like that. But yeah, for an overnight charge, this is more than enough. Now that AC charging was way too slow for me to be able to get the car back in time today. So let's find a fast charging station and see what CCS charging can do for us. So right now I am hooked up to a 50 kilowatt CCS charging station, and now it will take me 50 minutes to get from 13% all the way up to 100%. So that's a lot better, of course, and if you need a fast charge, it is possible with this car to actually get a decent amount of charge rate. Of course, it is not going to be enough to do actual road trips, because if you have to stop every 170 kilometers, then it will take a very long time before you will reach your destination. Now, on the steering wheel you have two pedals, one with a plus, one with a minus, to not shift any gears, because there are no gears. It's an electric car and most of them don't have gears. Well, one reduction gear, but not really like shifting gears. What I wanted to say is you can adjust the amount of regen braking with this. So normally if you let go of the pedal, then it kind of coasts, right? But if you pull it once, then you get one colored arrow and one open arrow. It's a little bit heavier, and if you pull it a second time, then it is more actually braking. And the thing that I find annoying about this system is that each and every time that you start the car, it starts in that coasting mode, so you have to redo that all over again. And also if you put it in cruise control, the adaptive cruise control, that also changed the setting again, so you have to reset it to your desired setting. Now I don't have time to find out all the specific details of the settings here, but I do hope that this is something that can be set once and then you forget about it, but for the moment it doesn't seem like it. That's a pity. So we're back at headquarters, and unfortunately my time with this car is up. I would have loved to have driven it a little bit more just to get used to it a little bit more, because it has some funky features. And yeah, I think Mazda has created a very unique car in the EV segment, because most of the time people want to, or car manufacturers want to exploit the power of the electric motor, want to have fast acceleration, just to make you get all the benefits of driving an EV. Whereas Mazda is more taking the path of making the transition towards an EV as smooth as possible. So therefore they have limited the amount of power that the car has to resemble an ICE car. They have reduced the range a little bit just to keep the weight down, to keep the cost down, but the cost is still quite a bit, because for this car it starts at about 34,000 euros, and this model is the top of the line model, goes all the way up to close to 39,000 euros. So it's not a cheap car. If you look at how much range it got, theoretically 200 kilometers, as I've tested 170 in current conditions, which is quite a bit of wind and about 15 degrees Celsius. So if it gets really cold, then probably you will only do about 150 kilometers. Now they also position this car as a commuter car and as a second car. So they really aim for the people that are actually driving less than 150 kilometers each and every day, which is the average commuter according to the government research. Now for me it's not a car, because even now when I was testing this car, I already came into time issues because of the charging that was not going fast enough. So I arrived back here not with a full charge, but with about 20 kilometers left on the car. So yeah, barely making it through the day just by driving around a little bit, doing a commute back and forth to Brussels, let's say, from my place. That would be more or less the same distance, and it's already cutting it close. But yeah, there are enough people that do less distance, that use this as a city car, and as a city car, as a commuter car. I think it's a very unique and nice proposition, and it is worth considering, especially if you look at the price compared to the other models like a Model 3, which has a lot more range, of course, but can go up to almost twice the price. So yeah, there you have it, my first real test of another car. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I certainly did, and if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and make sure you click that little bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. And for now, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.